Hey friends, this is Kevin from Wild Coffee Homestead. Good morning. I know that today brings us in a place that maybe we never thought we would be. And I don't know that Bonnie and I are preppers, but somehow we are impressed on our heart a few years ago with this question. Could we grow our own food? It wasn't that we were expecting a pandemic. Maybe we were just expecting, hey, as we get closer to retirement in 10, 12 years, could we provide some of our own nutrition? Could we provide some of our own food? I don't remember exactly why. I do remember when the journey started though. It was October 2018, and we had just experienced an awful tragedy in our home. I had accidentally burned myself over 20% of my body, my face, my arm, my legs, and first, second, third degree burns required skin grafts and months of recuperation and convalescing, multiple surgeries, multiple treatments that lasted a good 6 months into the following year. So we were kind of parked on our couch and we started exploring this idea of growing our own food. We started watching people who were doing just that, and there was all kinds of motivations for that. But the motivation for us was, could we, if we needed to, grow our own food? Many of you are asking that question now. Can you grow your own food? Now, this is what I learned growing up. My grandparents, great-grandparents, even parents came from the Midwest where they had amazing gardens. And none of those flourished in Florida. When they came to Florida, they struggled. They struggled because they were still growing in the old seasons. And in those seasons in Florida didn't work. They didn't learn their environment. And even though they had tried for years, the bugs, the heat, the incessant droughts or the incessant rainy times, they just struggled. And they gave up. So as a kid, we were taught you can't grow food in Florida. But then you look around and there are farmers everywhere growing all kinds of food. Where we live, there's potato chip potatoes being grown. There's cucumbers and squash and bok choy and all kinds of flowers. There's tomatoes. We're kind of the tomato capital of Florida during certain times of year. Strawberries. So I thought, well, you can grow food in Florida, but it's going to require a lot of chemicals. The conventional farmer was successful because they used a lot of inputs, a lot of fertilizers and a lot of chemicals, and because we weren't really interested in growing food that way, again, we kind of ran into a roadblock. Well, we don't want to use chemicals. Not like that. Is there an organic way to do that? We started noticing in our farmers markets, there were organic Florida growers. I thought, wow, if they can grow organic food in Florida, maybe we can grow a simple kitchen garden like the one you see behind me today. So we tried. And we thought, you know what? We don't need the food right now that we're trying to grow. It wasn't an emergency. It wasn't life or death. We thought, let's try and then fail and figure it out. We planned to fail. And we did. We not totally fail. We had significant failures, but we had significant successes, enough to keep us encouraged and keep us going. We had this kind of miniature kind of food forest type of concept going on in one part of our property. So that was another thing we did. We tried multiple ways, right? Yeah, we had multiple pronged approach. So we had this kind of food forest setting where we grow fruiting trees, nut trees, berry trees, things like that, vines. But underneath them in the understory, we grow some of our melons and our just variety of things. We grew peas last year. We have pineapples growing under our grapevines. We have passion fruit mixed in with our other vines. And that's been a lot of fun to see those things happening. And what's happening in year 2 and 3 of this food forest, it's just like crazy. Everything we plant in that area is just going crazy. It's amazing. And we keep thinking, well, we didn't do anything to that. We kind of ignored that. And look how it's growing. So that's been a success. Our kitchen garden, where we're trying to get most of our nutrition, we've learned to start using native things. We started observing what works in this area. We have a really struggle with regular cucumbers. So we're growing a cucamelon and other varieties that seem to do well in our climate. We struggle with pests, but what we found is if we start the garden earlier, that we can avoid some of those pests. If we get those plants up good and healthy, we avoid some of the pest pressure. The pests always kind of attack the weakest plant. Hint. So if you make sure your plants are as strong as possible, that can make it more successful. We found our fall garden, though we can't grow everything in our fall garden, is actually a very successful time of year in Florida. So we planted like in August and September, and we are still harvesting tomatoes and peppers and eggplants out of that garden. So what do we learn? We learned that the best time to start a garden is now. Know that not everything's going to be successful. If you're growing in a hot climate like we are, then whatever you can get in the ground now, it'd be real important to get in the ground. You may not have time now to start indoors. You may, if you can risk a trip to Lowe's, see if they have some started plants. They're not the most successful. We weren't always successful with those. They didn't seem to flourish in the transplant, but it's better than nothing. Remember, whatever you learn now, whether success or failure, propels you into your future. Do you know not everybody's solution works for you? That's a truth you have to kind of embrace. And if you share it on the internet, everyone's going to tell you, well, that won't work, or that'll work, you ought to try this or that. And that's fine, and we learn a lot that way. But you understand everybody's situation is unique, and not everything works. It might work wonderful for that person in Seattle, Washington, or Southern Michigan, or Middle Arkansas. But it might not work for you. So I want you to embrace this about growing your garden, trying your new thing, trying to grow your own food. Embrace the fact that it might not all be successful, and don't let that discourage you. Don't let that stop you. Keep trying. Keep trying. Know that every failure, every success builds your repertoire and your gardening experience for your most successful garden, which is always your future garden. Hey, we're in this together. That's one thing I know about the coronavirus crisis. We're in this together. We're all experiencing it at some level. I think now we're up to 1 person in every 1,000 has it. That we've tested, obviously, right? That means someone in your circle of friends or family, you're going to know, have it. You may be struggling with it today. But don't let it stop you. Keep moving forward. Keep pressing forward. Keep learning. Hey, Wild Coffee Homestead, we're on your side. And if we can be along the way to encourage you, that's what we want to be. If we can be here to help you learn what not to do because of our success, that's fine. But know you have to have your own failures. You have to have your own successes. Embrace those things and move forward. You can do it. You can grow. Hey, thank you for coming on this journey with us. If you haven't already, click subscribe and notification bell so that you can hear from us. Hey, if this has been helpful, if our content's good, would you please share it with a friend? We want to get this good news out to everyone. Hey, have a wonderful day. Enjoy today.